Okay, so welcome to the second episode of Conversations with Kone. These are informal chats on a weekly basis with members of the Smash community. I'm your host, and today my guest is Lexi, who I believe Smash tag is Exile.
Yes, that is it.
Yeah, cool. So just for the audience, we're going to be talking about various topics today. Just cover them very quickly. We're going to look at LeFrenchMelee, HFLAN, the state of the French Smash scene today, the Smash Ranking Reboot Project, and a little bit of Smash Sisters. If you enjoy today's episode or you've got any constructive feedback, you can follow us, myself on Convo@Kone, at Team Heir, and Lexi, what are your social media?
So you can follow me personally on Lexan Sirac on Twitter, which I would not advise doing because it's mostly in French and mostly shit posting. Or you can just follow LeFrenchMelee on Twitter, at LeFrenchMelee.
Okay, great. So I mentioned before your tag, and I quite like to begin with two questions. One, where did your tag come from? Because tags are always interesting. And then secondly, how long have you been in the Smash community for?
So the first one is the good question. Exile was actually found by Melgen, who is a Southern French player. It's, well, first of all, my first name is Lexan, but most people call me Lexi, and the French word for exile is exil, which is written exactly like exile, except for the E at the end. So basically, exile was an anagram of Lexi. And that was found, so now I live in Dublin in Ireland, and that was found maybe a week after I learned that I had gotten the job in Ireland. So it was mostly like, oh, I'm exiling myself from France. I'm taking this English nickname because I'm going in an English-speaking country, and it's just like my real name.
I actually generally thought it was because you were in Dublin, and then you chose the name Exile because you became an exile or was exile.
So before that, it was Ezekiel, which I had used, except not in the Smash community, because that was your second question. So I have been in the Smash community for a really short time. I am a baby Smasher. My very first tournament was the Cannes Winter Clash in February 2016.
I spoke last episode about there being kind of like 5 generations to the Smash community. We've got like Generation 1 or Gen 1 being kind of like pre-MLG. Gen 2 is the golden era, so like Kone, Heir, and so on, the MLG major event. Gen 3 being the Brawl, and then Gen 4, the Revival, and then Gen 5 being post-docs. So you are a post-docs.
Actually, quite literally a postdoc, because the very first thing I did for the Smash scene was translate that doc into French.
No, you didn't actually do that, did you?
I did actually do that. It took me 6 months, but...
So, wait, is that must be available somewhere online then?
It is. So if you go on the original videos, now you have the subtitles option on them.
Yeah.
So you can enable French subtitles.
Okay, that's awesome. And that's a load of dedication right there, Lexi. 6 months to do that.
It's a lot of video,
yeah.
And now we've got a whole team behind that. So I kind of started on my own, did the first 2 episodes on my own, then realized I was told by some people in LeFrenchMelee that a whole team had been working on it for years and had never amounted to anything except to do the translation for 5 episodes, which is already really good. So that was 3 episodes that I didn't do myself. Then I did 3 more episodes myself, I think, and then I created a team for episodes 8 and 9. And now it's called SmashingSubs, and that's my little minute of auto promo here. There's 15 of us now, and we translate content in 4 different languages. So if you have videos and you want us to sub them.
So how can people find you then?
Twitter, SmashingSubs.
SmashingSubs. And how many are there? I didn't know this existed, so I've been around since 2003.
It's pretty new. It's extremely new.
Yeah, but I've never known this is happening. So what languages are there then that people could get in contact with you guys about?
So what we usually do, so our 3 main languages are English, French, and Portuguese. So we've got Lucas and myself as the leaders of the team. So at the beginning, I founded it, and then Lucas came very fast. And the 2 of us worked on videos in English, and he's Brazilian. So he'll do the Portuguese part, and I would do the French part. Yeah, basically anyone who's interested can just contact us and help out. So we've got people also working on Italian, Korean, a little bit of German, some Russian as well. We've got loads of languages, but it's generally just 1 or 2 people helping out.
Is there much uptake in terms of once you've translated these? Do you think there's a lot of people now being able to access content they couldn't access before?
Yeah, we've had a lot of positive feedback on that, especially in France. I don't really know about the other countries, but we've had requests to translate some things into Italian, which we've done. We've had a lot of people requesting a lot of videos. So if you want, at the end of this, I can send you our Google Doc where we put every single video that we translated or worked on. And I think we've got like, I don't know, maybe 30 hours of videos now, especially Last Stock Legends that we work with, kind of. They will send us the video in early access so we can start working on it. And we try to put the subs up as soon as possible when the video is up.
This is actually awesome. So one of the reasons why I wanted to do these podcasts and why I started the first one with Lolex and then the second one with yourself is there's so much going on in the Smash community that people aren't aware of. And I think a lot of the focus ends up being on the top players, which understandably, you know, that is a major part of the scene and drives the scene and keeps the scene going. But just even knowing that projects like that are going on and you're working with other major organizations in the Smash scene is, yeah, that's great. So we'll stick that in the YouTube comments. If you want to access it and obviously contact yourselves regarding that, we'll do that. So obviously we've already spoken quite a bit about translating into French. Now, part of the reason we decided to do this podcast is that me and Lexi were talking about LeFrenchMelee, and LeFrenchMelee, it appears just like any other European scene. So I don't know, like Smash Netherlands and Smash UK and so on. But in my conversations with Lexi, I found out that it's a little bit more formally organized than that. Is that correct, Lexi?
Yeah, we're legally a real organization, so we can do contracts, etc., in the name of LeFrenchMelee.
Okay, which kind of blows my mind a little bit. In terms of, I've looked into this myself in the UK, and it's a little bit of a minefield. There's a lot of options, a lot of the formal options. If I was to, I don't know, legalize, I don't know, Smash UK itself, the legal options would mean that we would have to have proper accountancy. We'd be paying VAT on everything and so on. The option that I've taken with Team Heir at the moment is we are basically an unassociated organization which runs a bit like a sports club. So why did you guys do that, and what are the benefits to it, and how hard was it?
So I wasn't there at the time.
Yeah.
Let's just make that clear. So I'm going to make some assumptions from what I understood since I've joined, etc. So just if there is anything that's incorrect, I count on my LeFrenchMelee colleagues to correct me in the YouTube comments.
Well, you see, I've been aware of LeFrenchMelee. Like, I visited quite a few tournaments early on when I first got into the scene, and I knew that it was called LeFrenchMelee back then. So when was it actually formally established?
Beginning of 2016, as far as I know.
So actually, LeFrenchMelee is the name, and then actually it's been legally formalized a lot more recently than I thought. Okay.
Exactly. So now we're a non-profit. And it's funny that you were talking about sports club, because in France, you would have to turn your sports club into a non-profit as well.
Yeah.
So we do have the same system as a sports club. It's just legally binding. So yeah, that was a lot of work. And we do have proper accountancy. We have Sylvain Brog, Pikachu player. Yeah, who is our accountant. So he is a professional accountant. That's his job. And he's also the LeFrenchMelee treasurer. So LeFrenchMelee has this very classic organization for nonprofit associations in France. So it's a law 1901 that says that you have to have a president, you have to have a secretary, you have to have a treasurer at least. And you need a physical address, and you need proper accountancy and everything. So that is something that we've done. It is a huge amount of work. And the LeFrenchMelee administration leaders did a crazy amount of work to make that happen, which means that now we do have, for instance, we have our own bank account. So LeFrenchMelee can do transactions as LeFrenchMelee. Who
actually, is it Brog then that runs that?
Yeah, mostly.
Okay, and is it only who has access? See, this is what worries me about going into this formally, I guess, as Smash UK or as Melee UK. Who has access to the bank? I guess a lot of people would. So, yeah, go on. I'll let you talk, Lexi.
We're still in works about the bank account, so that's something that we're currently doing. And the people who are going to have access to it, as far as I know, are the president and the treasurer.
Okay, so it's not quite formalized yet.
No, that one is not quite formalized.
Okay, but when it comes to you running events, you're doing it through LeFrenchMelee as a non-profit.
LeFrenchMelee has a contract with streamers, the thing is, the only tournament LeFrenchMelee organizes as LeFrenchMelee is the HFLAN.
Okay.
So we have a contract with the Student Association of SEAE, which is a venue, which is an engineering school. So we have a contract with them, not with the venue itself.
What are advantages of doing that then? If it's just for HFLAN, you guys have decided to do it. I guess two questions then. One, what is the advantage of doing it for HFLAN? And we're going to get into HFLAN more anyway. And secondly, if you have organized LeFrenchMelee more formally into a non-profit and it's just beneficial for one event, is there any other benefits to being more organized?
I would say there are a lot of other benefits, and the very first one of all is the legitimacy. It's so much easier to organize a local scene, well, national scene, when you say, well, we're the association that legally rules on French Melee, which is why we're LeFrenchMelee. So basically having one website, one centralized website, centralized informations. You know, as French people, we love our bureaucracy.
Yeah.
So,
it's really funny. I have there's a Smash player in Atlanta called G.A. Wes, and he is one of my close friends. And I met him across here. He was here for uni for a year, just dropping the fact that I love Wes, basically. And his wife is French, Jess, who I love to bits as well. And she literally says that all the time.
Yeah. Well, we love paperwork.
Yeah.
No, it's a good thing to have some real precise organization of the scene. Benefits. So first benefit, public recognition. When someone who does not know the Melee scene needs something, they know who to contact.
But I don't know, feel like you can do that without being more formalized.
Not for company. I don't know how it works in the UK, but in France, if a company wants to speak to you, you're going to have to be either a company or an organization, non-profit. It's just not possible to have an individual having a conversation with a company. It's just never going to happen.
I'm guessing that means that links to businesses, to potential sponsors are maybe a little bit easier?
Yeah, definitely. So sponsors, tournament organizers as well, because most of the local organizations organizing local tournaments are also going to be non-profits or companies, because basically it's pretty much impossible to rent a venue if you're just one person. That means that it's going to be non-profits talking to other non-profits, even though we kind of know that it's this guy running this non-profit in this city, and he's the lead TO for this city.
Okay, so are you saying that the other TOs within France are actually kind of legally set up as non-profits as well?
There's some of them, yes. So I'm thinking about Nantes, for instance, that had beat by 44, which is the Fighting Game Association.
Yeah.
They organize the Nantes Arena twice a year, which is a national tournament. In the south, you'd have the STA. That would be the guys who who used to organize last and who are now organizing Master in July or August every year. Those guys are association, even though technically if you're talking to them, you're always going to talk to the same person.
But have organized themselves a little bit more. Here, as I say, I was just saying about Heir earlier, unincorporated associations, so kind of like sports clubs and so on, you are, by being an unincorporated association, able to talk to venues and businesses here. The issue with that is it's the individual members of that association are personally responsible for debts and any contracts. So as an example, with Heir, it's kind of like a £20,000 contract on my name.
Yeah, that's why most people, when the local Smash scene is getting a bit bigger, try to turn into non-profits or to turn towards companies, which is the case in Nyon, for instance, where we have this gaming bar, Arcanium, where we have our weeklies. And then the Arca Melee is also going to be officially organized by this bar and not by the TO.
Okay, that's interesting. Do you think there's any other advantages to doing it other than what you get link-wise, venue-wise, or what you get through greater sponsorship?
You have some obligations that come with it, which is kind of a pain for us sometimes, but is really good for the community. For instance, making progress reports public.
Right. See, this just sounds like, I don't know, this doesn't sound very fun to me, Lexi, here.
It's not fun at all. Oh, believe me, it's horrible.
If this bit, I'm guessing, therefore, there's a lot more paperwork, you need to make a lot more information publicly out there.
Yeah.
But do you generally think you're getting access to venues that you couldn't have got otherwise?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess that if we segue from that into HFLAN, HFLAN is obviously organized through LeFrenchMelee, and we've got one coming up this April.
Yes, on the 15th and 16th of April.
Okay, which is cool. I was under the impression, and I know from our very quick little opening conversation before we went live, I was under the impression that we didn't have one since 2015.
You are wrong.
Okay.
Now, we had HFLAN Melee Edition in 2015. There was an HFLAN, HFLAN 12 in 2016. So basically, in order to understand this, maybe we should have a quick overview of what HFLAN really is.
Yeah, because I think it's a little bit confusing because
Yes.
the name kind of entails it being some sort of PC gaming event.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which it is. So HFLAN 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to 13, or LANs, so PC gaming events, organized by the Student Association of SEEE, which is an engineering school near Paris. Those guys have organized 13 of those tournaments, and what you have in those tournaments is different games. So you'll have StarCraft, you'll have Counter-Strike, I think you have League of Legends, I'm not sure, and Melee.
Yeah.
So from the very first HFLAN had Counter-Strike, I think, StarCraft, that's for sure, because there's still a really big tournament on StarCraft. And they were also looking for Melee and Brawl. So basically, what you have is the normal HFLANs, and then you've had one HFLAN Melee Edition in 2015.
Okay. So what happened in 2016 then?
2016, you get HFLAN 12, which has Melee in it. So you have Leffen, you have Prof Pro, you have, well, Tech, you have Over. I don't remember. Yeah, that was probably top 3, actually.
It couldn't have been very big. If I've just completely missed
We
out.
had an 80-player cap.
An 80-player cap? Okay, I do remember this. I do, because I remember thinking how bizarre it was that there was a really small HFLAN.
We had about 1/4 of the venue that we would have for HFLAN Melee Edition events.
The naming doesn't help, by the way. It's really confusing.
I know.
It's just either numbered. Do you have to? Okay, so with HFLAN coming up in April, that's just Melee.
That's not numbered, and that's pure Melee, which
Okay.
is why it's called HFLAN Melee Edition.
All right. Were you not tempted? Actually, before I go into that, who is the HFLAN team then? Is it just the LeFrenchMelee team?
No, not at all. So LeFrenchMelee will do the TOing, will do the communication part, basically everything that has something to do with Melee.
Sorry, Lex, jump in there. We were talking just before about LeFrenchMelee. We know Brog is the accountant.
Mhm.
What are the other main roles at the moment? Or who
So
are
there's,
the main roles?
well, the president is Luca, L-U-K.
Mm-hmm.
Falcon Main from Grenoble used to be ATO in Grenoble, launched one of the most successful tournament series over there. So he's been there. He was actually part of the LeFrenchMelee administration since 2013, I think. Okay, so I'm not sure, but I think he went from secretary to vice president to president. And president, so that was the last elections nominations, which were at the end of 2015 or beginning of 2016.
Okay, I love actually that there's elections. How does that work? How do you get to take part in the elections?
So, that's something I should not talk about, really, because it's both complicated and confusing, even for us.
Okay, let's sidestep that then. So we've got 2 people there. You said there were 6. We've got
Yes.
Brog, that's 3. Yourself, I'm guessing.
Yes, I'm the community manager. I have been the community manager since March, but officially became the community manager, so part of the administration on the 6th of August this year.
Okay, and then 2 more.
And then, yeah, so then you've got, Luca, as I was saying, the president. You got Kelasius, who is a player from Corsica. Poor guy is alone on his island, but he is, he is very lonely. There's this one Game & Watch main in the same city as him, and that's it on the whole island. So, yeah. So he's the secretary, and interestingly enough, he has been back in Corsica since September, and before that he lived in Australia.
Okay.
So he would actually get up for meetings at 3 a.m. to take notes because he's the secretary, so he's the one who has to take notes.
Okay, which reminds me a little bit of, and I think we need to drop his name in here because of what he did previously with HFLAN and LeFrenchMelee, Schlocker.
Yes.
And the reason, obviously, I'm dropping that in is he doesn't live anywhere near France.
Oh no, he is actually, so congratulations to him. So, we've done this map of players, of all the French players. So we've got like 400 people on those. And we also included the French players who live abroad. So congratulations to this guy to be the loneliest person out there, which I think he's like 7,000 kilometers away from the nearest player.
Yeah, but it's still France.
Yeah, still France. Oh, technically it's France.
Yeah.
Like, he lives in France, which is amazing. So he's actually in French Guyana, which is in Southern America.
For those not great with their geography, kind of north of Brazil.
Yep.
South America. And the reason we brought that up is Schlocker, or Pierre, was basically the president of LeFrenchMelee for...
I think he was, yes.
And then I think we're missing one more. I don't know.
Yes. 2 more, actually.
2 more?
Yeah. So you'd have Rondel, who is what we call the TO master. So basically the person who makes sure that every single tournament is in our archive, which means that we have a complete archive of pretty much every single tournament that ever happened in France since 2003. So that's all thanks to him.
Okay, is that just kind of like a Google Docs type of...
It is an Excel spreadsheet.
Okay, and does it record, like, I don't know, attendance and outcome, or is it just...
So it records the date, the city, the TO, the number of players, or I'm not sure about the numbers of about the number of players. It might be just the size, like national or regional or weekly or monthly, and the bracket. So again, that's something else.
Bureaucracy, I like that. It's a lot of information.
Oh, we love it. And actually, it's interesting that you talk about bureaucracy because we've been doing all of this, and I was going somewhere with this. I don't remember anymore. Yeah, no,
that's right.
Yes,
So,
the rule set. Sorry. So LeFrenchMelee, one thing that I didn't say about LeFrenchMelee is we also have an official rule set in France, which is the French rule set, which is commonly accepted by French tournaments. So basically, if you want your tournament to be in this tournament archive and to be in Smash Ranking.eu, well,
we'll get to that, yeah.
Previously, Smash Ranking.eu, you would need to follow this rule set.
Okay, is that Melee Smash 4 as well?
No, only Melee.
Only Melee. Okay. Does LeFrenchMelee have anything
No.
to do with Smash 4 then? No. Okay. We'll just...
Only Melee.
Okay, we'll leave that there. So that's an overview of LeFrenchMelee, which again also explained your role in it. Communications, was it leader, manager?
Community manager.
Community manager. Okay, sorry. I went with communication because I know that if I see something on social media, it's pretty much you. Twitter and so on.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah. So we got into there because we were talking about HFLAN and who is actually organizing HFLAN.
And we didn't go through all the members of LeFrenchMelee in the end.
You still haven't?
We still won!
I thought we only had 6 yet. It feels like we've gone...
No, we had 5, but Tech is missing.
Okay, finish it off there because I feel bad for the person we haven't mentioned.
So the last person is Tech, who was doing the communication before I came in. And then, well, of course, he's had, as you might have seen, some personal issues, meaning that he had to step away from Melee a bit. He's technically there. Yeah, to
be honest, sorry. I'm not actually... I don't know if people are entirely sure, maybe outside of France, what is happening or what has happened with Tech. I don't know if it's right to get into it anyway.
I don't know much more than what he posted on Twitter.
Okay.
Which is basically his dad has health issues.
Okay.
And he has to focus on his studies.
Yeah. Well, yeah, makes sense. You know, peaks and troughs and all that with Melee and the amount of commitment you can give to it. You know, I know that I had a good 3-year hiatus at one point. So
yeah. Especially at his level.
Yeah, exactly. You if you don't have the time to maintain being a top player in Europe, you know, it's hard to still, I guess. You don't want to take part if you're doing it second rate. So hopefully we see him back in the future, and hopefully everything study-wise and with his dad goes well. So back to HFLAN now, because I'm guessing everyone in LeFrenchMelee.
Yes, now you have everyone.
Yeah. So who is HFLAN then? So who from LeFrenchMelee is working on HFLAN, and who else is part of HFLAN? And I guess then we'll get into where we're at with this version of HFLAN as well.
In LeFrenchMelee, we all work on HFLAN. Actually, I am currently having this conversation with you. And as soon as I'm tuning out of this conversation, I am stepping in on a LeFrenchMelee meeting about HFLAN, which everyone will attend. So we're all working on it. It's a lot of work. Then what you have is, well, as I said earlier, it's not just LeFrenchMelee. It's also SEEE, which I will at one point pronounce correctly, which is the engineering school. So they have this HFLAN Student Association, which is organizing this usually for PC games. They like Melee, they're doing it. So if you see basically anyone who is doing non-technical work, whether it be bringing you free hot dogs or or writing down some results on a piece of paper, that kind of stuff, that will be students from the school.
They actually contribute, basically, I guess, like
they're amazing.
Like your volunteer staff. Like for another major, although honest at Heir we don't use any, but I know that BC quite a sizable amount of volunteers. So they basically do the bulk.
Yeah, there's like 20 of those guys.
Okay, that's awesome.
And they're running around all day, just making everything so much easier for us and actually letting us focus on the melee part. That's amazing. Like, for instance, they're going to go and collect some TVs for us, CRTs.
Which I was just going to kind of like get into. You guys have capped it at 256.
Yeah.
I think you said previously in our chats that was down to potentially television issues, CRTs. Kind of not.
I didn't say that officially, but
Oh, no, we can.
it's fine.
So is there, well, I guess that is just an issue that any major event has anyway. I don't know the situation in the other majors. Well, I know that, actually I say that, I do. I know that Eclipse got a load of CRTs because a hotel closed down, and I believe in northern Norway, although Howie might tell me off for that, but I think it is. So that's where they got a bulk of theirs for Eclipse 2. I know that Beast have, work in partnership with DreamHack, and DreamHack provide a chunk of their TVs and monitors. Again, hopefully I'm right there and Lolix doesn't tell me off as well. I've got no idea about Syndicate. Air, I actually collected 100 TVs myself.
Yeah, I remember following that on Twitter. That was really impressive.
Yeah, that's a lot of time. And we're originally kind of housed in 2 sheds, an outhouse, and my spare room till my wife had enough and are now in storage. So I completely understand the issue with trying to get enough CRTs for a major, and having to cap it makes sense because if you don't have the CRTs, you don't want to become inefficient.
We want people to be able to free play as well as do the tournament. And for that, we'd rather have fewer people, but have enough CRTs for everyone than having 100 people who are just sitting there and waiting for something to happen.
Yeah, so it's the balance between efficiency. You don't want to slow down the tournament by having too many players and not enough setups. And at the same time, also those who have paid a sizable amount of money to come to your event, getting the right tournament experience.
Yes.
So with HFLAN this year, I would say probably since I obviously kind of missed last year's, but obviously had an 80 cap. Going back to 2015, there was I know there was 172 Melee singles entrants. That was the one where Zoo came out, which I remember. And it was the first event in the Smash circuit, the Smash Europe circuit, which I was part of and helped organize. And it's kind of the starting off point for Air growing as well. So what is the aim with this year's? Are you aiming to go bigger than that?
Yes. We are aiming to make this a bigger tournament than the last HFLAN Melee Edition. So that was, as you said, 172. Now we're capped at 256. Don't tell anyone else outside of this video. But we might maybe be able to extend the cap if there's a lot of demand. But it's getting late already, so it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, I kind of just checked it out, and I think you're at about 90 plus for Melee singles.
Yeah, we're almost at 100. We're at 97, I think.
Are you happy with that so far as a team?
Yes, that's fine enough. So we've had the thing with working with SEEE is that we're not masters of our budget, which
is awkward. As the head TO for Air, if I had to pass every decision budgeting wise through someone else, and there was actually potential for that to be turned down or having to go through a process of negotiation, it would probably drive me mad.
It does drive us mad. So for instance, we were denied having an early bird fee and then a venue fee raise.
Okay.
So we ended up having a compromise with 50 early bird tickets instead of a given time.
And this is because the money goes directly to the venue or the student organization?
To the student organization.
Yeah.
Like when you pay directly to them. It doesn't even go through us.
So then, which is where it gets very complex because obviously you're now having to negotiate to get money back from them for event stuff. Yeah. So
but they'll take care of all of our costs as well. HFLAN does not cost us anything. In exchange for that, they're masters of the budget. Yeah. They decide how much we get.
Okay, so I guess then, I don't know, like if I was just thinking about Air in terms of, I don't know, like projector screen, lanyards, banners, and so on, it would probably become hard for you guys to get that.
We already have them. So projector screen, they have a theater where we literally have a movie theater with 400 seats. So just come in and watch it.
For the listeners, if you haven't caught any of HFLAN before, the one thing that is super impressive about it is the theater that's used for kind of, I guess it's mainly top 8. I know that, again...
We'll make it more.
I'm going back to 2015 as well, because it's the last one I caught properly. I know that you did kind of, I think it was 3v3 international crews in there as well. And I just know it looks very, very cool. And a lot of Brits who went to the last couple of HFLANs always come back and say how good the kind of atmosphere and the theatre is for the end of the event. So basically, anyone listening, you should be checking HFLAN out. And I think that...
If only for the screen.
If only for this. Well, no, it is a major part of it. Like the viewing experience at a major needs to be good. And I think if it doesn't have the right atmosphere or people can't participate in it, it kind of lets the major down a little bit. So that's a pro. And then I guess you said the other banners and lanyards and so on, it's already there anyway.
It's already there anyway because they do HFLAN. It's a series.
Okay.
What you get, they also pay for the food.
That's
free food all weekend for the players. That's a €15 venue fee for the whole weekend. And then for the whole weekend, you get, pizza is subsidized, but it's like €5 for a big pizza. So it's worth it. You get free hot dogs. You get free soft drinks, free croissant on Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Let it be noted. We are very French.
I want an English breakfast. I want my sausages and bacon and eggs.
That's not happening. You can ask for a hot dog. You can have this one sausage. They're paying for that as well.
Yeah.
We don't have to take care of any of that kind of logistics, which is really nice.
And again, from an event or TOing perspective, that's great because it means I probably spend most of my time for Heir on the logistics rather than, I guess, on. Like I always say to the guys, the Heir team, that it's not about the actual running of the event. Like Thursday to Monday, that's fine. It's actually the logistics prior to it and working it all out months beforehand with various different companies and stakeholders, basically. But obviously, you guys are kind of like sorted with that you can just get on with the event.
Yeah. Which is amazing, and it's really cool to be working with them, if only for that, and that's not the only reason, So event-wise, you're aiming for higher than the last HFLAN. At the moment, I think if you spoke to people in the EU community and said name majors in Europe, I think you would get kind of Beast Heir, Eclipse, Syndicate, in no particular order. HFLAN probably, for the older players.
Yeah, I think I was about to say historically, yes, but maybe in the last few years, waned a little bit compared to the newer majors. Is the goal to be competing with those four?
Not competing. There's no point in competing with majors because, it's a European scene. We can do all of them. It's not a competition.
No, but
people can travel to all of those tournaments, and that's really awesome.
You're still competing with each other in terms of, I guess, turnout and reputation and just perception. There's other European events, let's say Kickstart or Avalon. Yeah. You wouldn't call those EU majors, okay? Yeah. But an EU major is, to me, an event that clearly is more of a one a year, and you're going to get major turnout from your country, like basically a complete national turnout plus a sizable turnout from a range of European countries.
Yes.
And that your media presence is going to be larger than something like an Avalon or a Kickstart. And basically, I guess when you look at like Beast Heir, Eclipse, Syndicate, and we're talking about HFLAN now, we're kind of thinking if we did the same with the US, you would kind of go, the Big House and Genesis and so on. So is the aim, I guess, not to compete, but is the aim to have HFLAN stand alongside those?
We have a 256 player cap this year.
Yeah.
Which makes it something that we hope is a major. We would like to be an European major. We behave like an European major. We have, for instance, for the first time in Europe, we're the ones who made an opt-in compendium. That has never happened in Europe. We're doing things, and we're definitely trying to make this a major.
Well, if even the cap doesn't, I don't think the cap this year, I think the cap might be an issue next year. Like I think for 2017, if we look back at 2016, kind of like Heir was 472, Beast 411, and then you've got DreamHack, which I don't know, I haven't counted alongside the other majors. It's kind of an oddity in that it's not grassroots, but that did have 275, DreamHack Winter 2016. And then you've got the other two that I mentioned, Eclipse at 247 and Syndicate at 209.
We're in there. If we hit our goal, we're in there.
Yeah, exactly. So I think
we lack history.
You lack history?
The Melee Edition lacks history.
Yeah.
Not the HFLAN. But the Melee Edition, maybe.
I think you've got the history. I think it's more kind of bringing the history out and more apparent to especially the more recent EU players. So you mentioned the compendium there, and it was one of my next questions, which was if you guys are kind of like trying to put yourselves on the same or are on the same level as those other majors. how you try to differentiate yourself from them. Because I spend loads of time thinking, okay, so Beast is this, what is Heir going to be? And I know from conversation with Howie, the head TO for Eclipse, they've done the same with Pressfire. They've basically gone, Heir's this, Beast is this. How do we kind of separate ourselves from that to garner a sizable audience?
We've done that too. Like, we don't want to step on Heir or on Beast territory. Definitely not.
It's not a good marketing ploy to do that.
Definitely not.
If you're too similar to other events,
it's just not going to be as good. Anyway, like, if you're trying to copy someone, you can't be as good because you're copying them.
Yeah, definitely that. Or if you do that, you've got to really go for it and outcompete them at what they are. So it's either very, very competitive, or you go, what's out there? What can we make our niche?
I think we're trying to make this an extremely French tournament.
Okay,
so
that's interesting. What does that mean?
You're getting food, you're getting drinks, you're getting the visits of Paris on Friday.
Okay, that's
we're organizing visits of Paris for people who fly on Thursday or Friday.
And what does that mean?
So basically, that's something that we'll see. So I don't know how many people will be interested. I'll probably be the one. Well, I will be the one organizing this.
I think if it's well organized,
basically,
I think that would be all right. So if I look at Beast, and I think with Beast, they've got like a legacy that's huge event wise. If I was Lolix, and I did say this in my last episode with him, if I was him, I'd just be selling the legacy. That's what I would do. I look at Heir, and one of the reasons we go down the more than a tournament route and we go down the let's keep it grassroots is I don't want to compete with Beast. I'm trying to separate ourselves, and I can't really sell where we are because we're in Nottingham, in the middle of the UK. But
you're the best summer vacation camp in Europe.
Which is what we go for. It's meant to be like come and have fun. It's more of a holiday vibe, really.
Yeah.
And that's because I don't have like if I was in London, I could sell London. I could sell easy transport. You can't get to where we are easily, so it's got to be like you're coming for basically a vacation. You're going to get here, it's going to be awkward to get here, but you're going to have so much fun, you're going to stay on site, and we're going to put lots of different activities on, such as the open mic night and so on, so that the travel and our location and accessing it is worthwhile.
Yeah.
But then
we're the contrary.
Yeah, but you've got Paris, so like...
Yeah, exactly. We're the exact opposite, where we have actually been sometimes messaging American players, for instance, where we've been telling them, come to our tournament and come to France. Enjoy Paris. Let's go on the Eiffel Tower. Like...
But you see, I think you can I would definitely be saying and recommending just sell it more in terms of what you put on social media. And if you're doing this kind of like get to know Paris tour type thing, that to me would interest me to travel. And
yeah, because it's a 4-day weekend for most of Europe.
Yeah,
it's Easter weekend. So UK, Ireland, Germany, other countries, most Protestant tradition countries plus Ireland have a 4-day weekend. Friday off and Monday off. France has Monday off, not Friday, which means we can do this amazing visit of Paris and not have French people on Friday.
Wait a minute. What weekend is it again?
Easter.
See, I'm terrible because what's the dates again?
15 and 16 April.
Okay, it's because I'm a teacher, so I just know I have 2 weeks off at that time, and I never know when the holidays are.
Exactly, it's during holidays for a number of us as well.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah, so that'll probably fall quite nicely into potentially, well, definitely school, but university probably here in the UK. Yep. Although I know there's a lot of major like hand-in dates, and I know that's been the problem with HFLAN before. Is it was ran in May. May is normally a terrible month for the UK because it is like university exam season. So I think going a little bit earlier probably will help in that sense. Definitely. So anyway, back to the Parisian tour.
Experience?
Is it? Yeah. Let's go for experience. So you're basically saying HFLAN, we're going branding wise, very French, and Paris wise, some sort of you're just going to take them around Paris.
Yeah, you've seen at Heir how French people can be. Basically, just going to ask. I'm not going to have a group of 200 people to make them visit, so I will be able to ask people what they want to see and to make a tour that really answers to what everyone wants to see. Of course, there will be the Eiffel Tower somewhere in there. I'm not expecting people to not ask for that, but really it's about seeing Paris with people who have lived in Paris and just going there, seeing the experience, how Paris really is, the inside of Paris, and then coming back all together to the hotel, to the venue. Since the hotel is a 5-minute walk from the venue. If you're in the F1 hotel, and if you're in the Ibis hotel, you just have to cross the street.
Are these the two hotels beside the venue?
Yeah.
Pricing wise, are they good?
If you take shared rooms, it's going to be €10 per night per person at F1. For Ibis, it might be something like €30 per person per night.
Okay, I actually think, weirdly enough, okay, I've never been to an HFLAN. Is it like a really cool looking building?
Yeah.
From the outside?
Oh yeah, it is.
like interesting looking?
I don't know. I mean, it's an engineering school. It's got an engineering school-y vibe.
Yeah, I think I actually did a school trip, ran a school trip, and I think we stayed in that actual Ibis hotel up the road from it, weirdly enough, because it's not in central Paris, is it? It's kind of like outskirts.
No, it's in Noisy. Yeah, it's the outskirts.
Yeah, I actually think I did, weirdly. Sorry, that was...
Oh my god.
Yeah,
that's super cool.
Yeah.
So if there was this weird needle in front of it in a roundabout.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so that was it.
There, yeah, because I remember seeing a photograph of it a few years ago, the HFLAN venue on the outside. I thought, I actually literally think I did a school trip near there. Anyway, that's probably irrelevant to most people listening. Back to HFLAN properly then. Is there anything else going on that is trying to, I guess, set you guys up differently, or you guys are trying to promote?
Again, the open compendium.
Yeah.
So
with that, because I've got a bit confused with it online.
Yeah, it was a bit confusing. So basically, you've got two people who got in. The votes are still open, and they're going to be open. And the two people who got in the first place are Captain Jack and Gino, who is the top Chilean player.
That's really cool.
Yeah, he's really good. He's pretty amazing. So those two are in the compendium now. So if you buy goodies from...
Okay, yeah, that's what I was about to say, but they're not they're not confirmed yet. So they're in the compendium.
You have to buy some things. You have to confirm them to get them in. Okay. Yeah. So for that, you have 2 months left.
Which is more than enough time. You know, what are the goals on them?
So the goals, Captain Jack is asking for 350.
That'll be fine. That'll happen. Yeah.
Gina is asking for more because he comes from South America. I think it's 850.
Okay. Yeah, it's still
doable. And then you have the wait list, so people can still vote. And then the wait list, I think it changed. Number 1 is Mint from Ireland, who is asking for 180. Then you've got Frenzy, and then you've got Chillin' Dude. And so in the Americans, you've got Chillin', you got Legend, you got NMW, who did HFLAN 3 or 4. You got Legend, you got Chudat.
So people can still kind of vote on these, move them up the list when another player's... So I guess, let's say we get Jack confirmed, and then whoever's on the top of the list is going to pop into the...
Exactly.
Okay, so we should probably see Mint in there or our boy Frenzy in there soon.
We sure hope so.
Frenzy nearly went, I think, last stock pretty much with homemade waffles yesterday at... too, which was really cool. So hopefully it gets to HFLAN as well. Is there anything else HFLAN wise?
No, just please,
just people book.
Please sign up.
But generally for listeners, it is Paris. It is easy to access. As Lexi has said, you've got food there. Venue is very good. You got cheap accommodation nearby. Travel links, because it's Paris, is easy.
Directly from the airport.
Pretty much. Charles
4 euros away.
Yeah, well, which is dead easy. I've done that before. And Charles de Gaulle, along with Schiphol and the London airports, are the most accessible airports in Europe. You're going to be able to get affordable flights there. Netherlands and Germany can drive.
Yep.
So, or get easy.
They can take the bus.
Yeah, bus-wise, is it Megabus?
They have been bought by Flixbus. Megabus doesn't exist in France anymore.
Okay.
I don't know about the rest of Europe, but yeah, they've been bought out by Flixbus. So now it's going to be Flixbus and Eurolines, generally.
Which is, I'm pretty sure it's just National Express in the UK, but it's the bigger brother version of it. But anyway, easy enough for the Dutch and the Germans to get there. So
yeah,
for those listening,
and for the English.
Yeah, well, I was about to say for the Brits
from London, if you're super poor and you really want to come but you can't afford the plane, so many of us went to Heir by bus.
I know it's pretty much
pretty much all of us, really.
Yeah, basically. But France and the UK is actually really awkward transport-wise in terms of not for the south of France, but for the north of France and for Paris is that flights because it's such a short distance, flights are actually not the most affordable.
Well, they're not the least affordable.
You've
got the train, which is more expensive than a flight.
But then UK trains are awful anyway. But the bus is super cheap. I know a ton of French did the horrible kind of megabit bus to London, then from there...
That just takes 18 hours.
Yeah, it's nothing.
It was £1.
Well, I
£1 return.
I know. And when I saw that, I got it into the French Melee group and just was basically like, this is £1.
Yeah, I remember.
Return. It's disgusting. But for Brits, I guess it's not the nicest in terms of comfort, but...
Oh, it's horrible. But it's £1 return.
Exactly, and if you get like a load of you on it, you're going to get there for cheap. You're with your mates, it travels nicer, and then, as you say, it's Easter weekend. Everything's going on HFLAN in terms of event-wise and what you're going to get food-wise, catering-wise, accommodations nice and cheap and nearby. Basically, Brits who are listening, you should be going to HFLAN.
Yeah, also non-Brits.
And yeah, but I know a lot of this is probably going to be Brits listening, but non-Brits. Well, I think with
everyone listening to this, please sign up. You should definitely go. It's going to be awesome. I'm not biased.
But the thing is with non-Brits is that, like, okay, so in my head I think I've got a weird thing where, like, Britain's obviously an island, so it's kind of a bit awkward for us in that driving kind of goes out the window. But if I lived on mainland Europe, I'd just be thinking I can drive to events, and that's what I would do. I would just be like, right, I live in southern Netherlands and I can just get 4 of my mates in the car and we can drive there. So I always think there's no excuse if you are kind of like Belgium, Netherlands.
There's this story with Baxon and some friend of his for Beast 4, I think. So they missed their flight. Did
they drive there? Okay, that's different. I'm talking driving. I'm talking driving from Germany. I know it's still a good distance from Germany, but driving to Sweden.
Yeah, it's doable from Germany. I've done it. It's fine.
Well, I actually drove Newcastle, which is kind of like 50 minutes from the Scottish border. I drove down to one of the Dutch tournaments once, which is a decent trek. So anyway, I just think if you can drive without having to mess on with getting a Eurotunnel or a ferry, then you should be doing it. But if not, get yourself a coach and get to HFLAN.
Yes.
I think we've banged the HFLAN drum a little bit.
Yeah, I think now the message is clear. We can move on.
Yeah, basically everyone go. So moving on from that, I guess just a little bit, I think we'll probably speed up a bit. What is the state of the French scene, Lexi? And what I mean by that, if you look at the UK scene, we're still growing a lot. Is the French scene growing in the same regards?
So I don't know the UK scene. I've been here only 1 year, and every time I go to a new tournament in France, so every time I fly back to France and go to a tournament, I feel like there's 50% of people that I don't know. And not because I didn't meet them before, because they don't know anyone either. Because they just ended up here, and that's their first tournament, especially in some very dynamic cities. And I'm thinking of Nantes, which is in Brittany, where the community, I think the oldest player in the community has been playing for 3 years. And now it's definitely one of the biggest communities in France. Which their last bi-monthly, so like once every 2 weeks, had 50 players. 50 players! Including, I think, 5 girls, which is, like, as a girl, it's really amazing to see people out there.
Yeah. So, I was going to ask very quickly, what are the major regions, France-wise?
So, the main regions, okay, I'm gonna offend some people by answering this question. That's 100% sure. So, you've got Paris, which is Falco land. I have some data about that. We did a census of all French players, all active French players, and we've got like 400 responses, more or less. So there's about 400 active players in France. You've got Paris that has like 25% Falcos, which is crazy. You've got Lyon, who used to be the biggest scene, and then most of the top players, I'm thinking Selpat, I'm thinking Foster, I'm thinking Willie, etc., moved to Paris. So Paris and Lyon are the 2 historical scenes.
Yeah, which is when I think of the French scene, I always think Lyon and Paris.
Yeah. Then you got Montpellier, who is in southern France, and they're extremely active. They're amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. Why are you smiling?
I went to Montpellier once, and yeah. I'll leave it there. A few interesting stories, but I don't know if I'm on this podcast thing. We've been chatting for a while, so I might bring that up in a future conversation.
That's exactly the point about Montpellier, is that I think everyone has a lot of stories to tell about that place. So you've got them, you've got Nantes that is really new and extremely active, and that's amazing. You got and then you've got Lille, where Maya is from, so he just moved to Paris, but you got Saint-Play, you got a lot of people over there. You get Toulouse, Bordeaux, Marseille is starting a monthly now, etc. I'd say the main, the 4 main communities would be Paris, Lyon, Montpellier, and Nantes.
they're the major regions, kind of a bit like, I guess, with the UK, London, Southampton, Midlands. We've got Bristol, Wales, and then Scotland, and not to offend, but there's Northwest and the Northeast, but they're not quite as big. So you've got your major four. Other than the major regions, if people were trying to access the French scene, so they wanted to get more into the French scene, wanted to understand more about the French scene, is there, and I know obviously the language barrier will be there, but obviously yourselves are starting to translate more, and there's a lot more English content being produced over the last year, which I'm guessing is yourself working
in English.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially.
Is there any particular kind of like blogs or vlogs or podcasts, websites, or people on Twitter that people should kind of know of to understand more about the French scene?
Yeah, so static websites, you've got LeFrenchMelee that has the tournament calendar. It has the player map. It's great. Then in French content, you're going to have, I'd say, two main sources of content. First one is the / Twitch channel.
Yeah.
And they especially have this bi-weekly podcast, which is called Jet Smash Radio, where they have Foster's in there, and then you've got some other players, and there's like editorials, and they have one guest player every time. So they'll talk about how to organize a tournament, how the community grew, etc. So it's really interesting. Yep. So I'd really recommend watching that. Also on Forward Smash, you have the Ned Talks. So that's done by Ned Ved, a player from Dijon. And he interviews different players of the French Smash scene every Wednesday. So that would be Forward Smash for you. Yeah.
Is Ned Ved proper old school?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I met him a long time ago at a tournament in Dijon, ran by Master Link, which I don't even know when that was. A long time ago. Anyway, keep going.
It was a long time ago.
A long time ago.
Yeah, no, he is old school. So yeah, so he interviews players every Wednesday. I think it's going to be moved to Thursdays. Anyway, so he has this weekly thing, and then on blogs you would have ShieldBreakFast.fr, which is in a bit of a weird place because you have Team ShieldBreakfast, which is my team, and you have ShieldBreakFast.fr, which is my blog, and then ShieldBreakfast is the partner blog of LeFrenchMelee. So you'll also get the older LeFrenchMelee news, tournament announcements, etc. That will all be on ShieldBreakfast.
Okay, so I guess that's probably, along with the LeFrenchMelee website, the main portal, or one of the main portals. And definitely. So we summarized it quickly. It's kind of like LeFrenchMelee. Follow them on Twitter, and obviously follow the website. And then Forward Smash. Facebook as well, yep. And then
Forward Smash will be for video.
Yeah, so videos and podcasts and so forth. And then ShieldBreakFast for more perspective and more information on the French scene.
Exactly. And advice for players, for instance. So, for instance, the French Discord has this weekly discussion thing where the players in the power ranking of 2016, so 30 of them, are going to discuss a different theme every week. So you'll find the recap on ShieldBreakFast.
Okay, is that English or French?
French. I've actually had R23, or was it Frenzy? I don't know. An English player, a UK player, asking me last week if I could translate it into English because he was interested. So
yeah, I think not to add more workload to yourself, but I think definitely, if I understand it being in French completely, but if there is English there,
I would love to do this.
You could have way more access because pretty much English is the main language of Smash. So
yes, but all content is created in English, and that's actually the reason why I created ShieldBreakFast and decided that it would be French content, because there's no French content whatsoever. There was at that point no French content whatsoever.
Yeah. No, it's a very
Forward Smash followed along.
Remark in French as well.
Yeah, definitely. If I can find 10 minutes of my time during a lunch break or something where I'm not already working on one of my Melee projects, I will definitely translate some content to English because it's interesting and it deserves to be shared.
Yeah, but you did do so with your power rankings. So obviously, if for those who don't speak French, there is content that is being, produced by LeFrenchMelee and so forth. So it's still worthwhile following those and accessing those. I think we'll probably wrap up there, Lexi. Yep. So just a quick recap. If you like to follow myself, it's at Kone. Anything regarding Team Heir, which I lead, is at Team Heir. This actual podcast is going to be available on Smash House. So that's at Smash House UK if you would like to follow them on Twitter. Other than that, obviously, it's yourself, Lexi. What was your Twitter again?
So Lexan Sirac, if you've seen me posting, which I always do on Facebook, it's exactly my name, so all together, and then LeFrenchMelee for everything LeFrenchMelee related.
Yeah, which everyone, well, I know I do, and I know a lot of people do, and if you aren't, you should be following, as well as it's one of the major sources of EU Smash information. So other than that, just like to say thank you, Lexi.
Thank you.
And I'll catch you later. Ta-ra!
See ya!